Today I wanted to talk about broccoli and how to make broccoli taste good. I'm not saying it tastes bad, but you know what I find generally when I eat broccoli, that it doesn't really taste very amazing. You know, I never feel like it's wow, it's got something amazing. I mean, and as a vegetable, it just has that kind of vegetable taste, and sometimes I even find it unpleasant. So I thought there must be ways to make it taste good. And also equally, I found because it's such a healthy vegetable, it always comes up very high on the list when I search for healthy foods to eat, good foods to eat. So everybody says broccoli is one of the best. And in Japan, even they use it as a flower arrangement during weddings, and they throw this flower arrangement towards the male partners because it's supposed to be, you know, a wish of good health. So broccoli is an interesting one, and I generally, you know, I can't say I dislike it, but equally I find it not exactly very exciting. But there are ways of making it taste good, and today I'm going to explore some of these ways. And one of the things I've got left, I've got some cheese left, and I don't generally eat a lot of cheese, but I think I need to use up this cheese. So, and of course I always have a lot of spices, so this is what I'm going to experiment with today. And I've got some beef dripping left, but the first thing to do, I guess, is to and you know what, it's always a good idea to make sure that you eat very good, very fresh broccoli. And the signs, you know, what they recommend doing is that your florets, they have deep green color, which I've got here, I think, and is generally quite firm. I think this one, because it's been in the fridge for a couple of days already, it's not the firmest it can be, but it's not too soggy either, so it's a good time to maybe eat it. So I'm going to cut these florets, the ones that I'm going to use, and I'm going to also have some left because I don't think I'll be able to eat all of it. If you've got a large family, or you're preparing a large meal, I think the whole of it might work. But in my case, I think, yeah, I'm going to use this amount, and the rest will be kept for later. I think I could use, well, maybe one more for today. Yeah, and this stick will stay fresh, and I will use it later. So with cheese will be melted later, and it will be used. I'm going to put this into my plastic bag so that it doesn't dehydrate. So I'm going to keep this. So with these florets, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to, I'll do some more cutting. I'm going to gently steam them first. But the important thing also to know about broccoli is that it's important to not overcook it, because quite often if you boil it too much or you steam it too much, it becomes very soft and very mushy. Apparently that's not very good, because at this point a lot of them useful fibers, for example, they're too soft, too mushy, so they're not going to give you much benefit. You want some of these fibers to remain firm, but maybe not too firm, so that it's actually possible to digest it. So I think that's good. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it into my frying pan, but I'm not going to fry it just yet. I'm going to gently steam it, and I'm going to drain some of my water. The first water, I'm going to drain it because that will remove some of the impurities that reside on top. Okay, and in the meantime, while my broccoli is steaming, I am going to cut my cheese into small pieces, because what I'm going to do with my cheese, I'm going to melt it, and I'm going to use it with my broccoli, and it will add the additional flavors, and hopefully my broccoli won't taste as plain and as dry. Well, not necessarily dry, but sort of plain and just not very interesting. So you can actually grate your cheese, but I don't want to use the grater, because what happens, after you've done some grating, it's such a huge hassle to wash your grater, especially if you use hard cheese. You know, that cheese can be quite difficult to wash off your grater. But cutting is just as easy. You know, you can cut it into thin slices, and these thin slices then will melt very easily. So that's especially if you're doing small amount. And sometimes you can actually buy your cheese grated. I don't know if it's a good idea, because this grated cheese can stay in on the shelves for a while, and but you know, see what works for you. You know, I think in this particular case, these fine thin slices will be just perfect. And I can hear my broccoli already boiling, so I might need to drain my water. So let me just have a quick look. Yes, so I'm steaming my broccoli here, and I'm going to drain this water in a second. So I let it steam a little longer. So I'll continue cutting my cheese in the meantime. So the cheese will go later into the frying pan when my broccoli is hot, and it's very easy for this cheese to melt. So here I've got smaller pieces, and I'm going to also gently fry my broccoli in my beef dripping. So it's going to be quite oily, but I want it like that because I feel during winter. Okay, I think I need to. So this has been steaming now like crazy. So I'm going to drain this water quickly, and I'm going to add more water. So I've just added some fresh water, and I'll steam it again, but I don't want to overcook it, so I need to be very careful. So, and then my cheese will go on top, just like that. Okay, so I think my you get the idea. So my cheese is nearly there. So so I've avoided using grater and having to wash it, but I've done like some nice. I think I've done a good job here. Okay, so my next step will be to add this cheese on top, and I'm also thinking to maybe add some lemon, because that will give it some nice flavor, and it will help digesting my cheese, and also perhaps some garlic. So yeah, I think some garlic will work as well. So okay, so this cheese, I'm going to put it aside for a moment. Let me put it here on this napkin. Yes, I think some lemon will work really, really well. And again, I'll just remove this because it's got some dry bits. And I'm going to cut them very, very thinly again. So it's going to be very thin slices, because I want my lemon there for flavor and a little bit of acidity, not necessarily for it to be the main ingredient. So I've got some seed here. Let me remove that. So let's get rid of the seed. Yeah, so I'm going to slice these lemons further into smaller pieces. But they don't. Okay, here's some more seed here. But they don't need to be sliced too thinly. I mean, it's okay to see that it's lemon. And somebody, if you don't like lemon, then you can see these bits and you can avoid them. So I think that will do. So now this lemon will go back into my broccoli. So here's what's going on with my broccoli. Sorry about this steam. So my lemon goes into my frying pan. I hope you can see it. And now I'm going to add my I'm going to add some beef dripping, and they're not very soft just yet, but I'm now going to continue gently simmering them without water, but in the beef dripping. So, okay. So here's my broccoli. You know, my beef dripping is now melting gently, and I'm going to simmer my broccoli with lemon in this gorgeous beef dripping. And then when my broccoli is hot and nearly ready, I will add my cheese on top. Those thin slices of cheese will go on top, and because cheese also contains a lot of salt, I don't need to add any additional salt. So you see, beef dripping has melted now, almost. So I will fry my broccoli gently in this, and my lemon is also here. So my lemon will add that flavor from the rind and a little bit of acidity. So I'm hoping that this will turn my broccoli into a very delicious meal in its own right. Oh yes, and I wanted to do, I'm going to peel my garlic in the meantime. Okay, hopefully there won't be too much steam again. And the interesting thing about this dish now is going to be, it's probably going to be almost like a complete meal in its own right. I mean, vegetables, when you just eat broccoli, you sometimes don't feel satisfied or filled up. But because there's now beef dripping and there'll be cheese also, so a combination of vegetables and fats and proteins will, I think, make it almost like a complete meal. I'll see how it goes and how it works. Okay, while my broccoli is frying in beef dripping, I'm going to process some garlic. Well, I'm just going to peel my garlic, and I'm going to add a few cloves of garlic. I think garlic is really good, especially at this time of the year, and we're still suffering from this COVID pandemic, and garlic is a known antiviral food, so I'm hoping that it will help fight all those infections. And you know, there are many ways of peeling garlic, but I find it so easy. You can just peel it like this with your fingers. I know there's lots of fancy methods they show how to peel, but you know what, I always found that it's really, really easy to peel it just like this with your fingers. And sometimes if you can't get, oh yeah, here we are, this one done. If you can't get under those, you know, I find you can start from the base, and you can easily then remove these skins like this with your fingers. And then what I do, I will cut this hard bit off, and the clove can go, and I will cut these slightly spoiled things on the side, and but see how easy it is to peel it. Actually, if you do it from the base, you try and get those flakes. That's it, like this. Here we are. Yeah, Sometimes it's actually not as easy, especially if your garlic is fresh. But then you can use your knife to just go like this under there. It will help you. Here we are. Yeah, I think I'm getting... Yeah, so here I might need my knife again. Here you are, like this, yeah. That's it. I find fingers work really best, but if you can't get some of the bits, you can just use your knife. That's it, like that. And a couple more. It's done. Okay, and we're nearly there. So what I do, I just cut off these hard bits and any impurities, any problems, for example, like here. So I cut this off and the hard bit. Okay. Then, yeah, same here. I cut this little thing off and the base. And then the whole clove just goes in. Yeah, this one is perfect. And this one is perfect too. I can smell my garlics already. They smell delicious. So now this just goes into my frying pan. So my broccoli, as you can see, is now beginning to get that nice slightly brown color, and it is quite soft already, so I think it's nearly there. So I'm just going to wait for my garlics to cook a little, because I didn't cut them very thinly, so they would need to cook a little, otherwise they will be very, very strong. And and sometimes, you know what, if you eat fresh garlic without any heat prior heat processing, it can literally burn your tongue. But equally, what they say, if you fry your garlics and you process them with heat too much, you do destroy a lot of the useful elements. So apparently the most useful active ingredient in garlic that works really, really well, it actually it is produced when you chew your garlic, when you eat it fresh, and it is these freshly produced juices from garlic contain that active ingredient that fights all the bugs. But in our case, I think I'm using garlic partly for flavor, partly as a useful medicinal food, and partly also to fight viruses. So it's not just a single purpose. So I'm going to process it with heat a little. And it already smells delicious. You know what, I'm going to start adding my strips of cheese now, because I don't want my broccoli to overcook and turn totally mushy. So I will start melting my cheese. And this, this really is going to be a complete meal. I thought this was going to be like a side dish, but you know what, look at this. It's got practically everything you might need. There's healthy fats from cheese and beef dripping. There's fiber from broccoli. There's bacteria and infection fighting elements from garlic. There's flavors from garlic. So here we are. My broccoli is now almost completely covered. But this cheese will now start to melt, and this is the idea. So the flavor will also from cheese will be absorbed by my broccoli, and this is what I'm hoping will make my broccoli taste irresistible. Whereas before it was just plain and not exactly very delicious. Now with all these additional ingredients, and also you can add some herbs. I'm thinking just to give it some additional character, I'm going to use, I've got this really unusual spice. This is basically pollen collected from fennel. When fennel blooms, flowers of fennel contain these delicious and very aromatic pollen. And you know what? Every time I use this spice, it makes it, anything I use it with, makes it taste like angelic. Because you get a little bit of fennel taste in it, but equally there's this very nice, savory, spicy, additional flavor, and some floral flavor, and some... It's just, you know what, I can't describe it. You have to try it. It is quite expensive, but it's so worth it. It says the spice of angels. And you know what, this describes basically how this spice tastes. So with this spice of angels, cheese, and garlic, and lemon, I can't imagine that this broccoli will taste plain or bland or uninteresting. So you can see my cheese now melting gently. So I've now covered my frying pan for a little bit of heat on top, so that my cheese melts thoroughly. But in the meantime, I hope you liked this idea of how to make your broccoli taste wonderful. Let me wish you bon appetit, and we'll chat again in another video.